Hello, welcome to episode 3 of Commander Deck Building here. I don't really have a name for this. I'm just calling it something different every episode. Ignore that. Where we're going to discuss today is Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're going to go over the strategy here. We're going to go over why I built it the way I did. And so we're aiming here at bracket 3. And we're aiming at keeping every single card in the deck, including lands, within the Marvel Magic universe. And this comes to a pretty solid bracket 3 combat deck, essentially. So, let's take a look. What does Nick Fury do? Well, for 1 white, Nick Fury comes in as a 2/1. Then the power-up ability says, for WUBRG, you can put 2 +1/+1 counters on Nick Fury. Then, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a hero, equipment, or vehicle card from among them onto the battlefield. If it's a double-faced card, you may transform it. This is just telling you that double-faced cards can come in as either side. That's just the truth about double-faced cards, because you can cast them for either side of their mana cost. So any of the effects that would let us cheat out a hero in this deck will allow us to put them out for their face-up cost on either side that we prefer. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So what we're looking to do here is put out a lot of scary, difficult-to-cast heroes and use support heroes, but you can see we have 34 creatures in here. They are all heroes, and we're looking to cheat them out in various ways, not just with Nick Fury. We're looking to blink Nick Fury in different ways so that we can use that ability again, and we're looking to protect our board. So let's go over how we're going to do that. Agent Phil Coulson is a very easy add to any hero deck. You just tap him to put a +1/+1 counter on any hero, or each other hero, rather. Very good. Anti-Venom is a great card to cheat out, because in most decks that aren't mono-white, he's going to be really tough to cast. You don't really want Anti-Venom in your opening hand, and if you happen to draw him, it's unfortunate. But we do have a Chromatic Lantern to maybe help you get him out if that happens. Black Widow Intel Expert. Whenever Black Widow deals combat damage to an opponent, you and that player each draw 2 cards. Just solid to get a draw, because you can kind of politic into, hey, you get to draw 2 cards if I hit you, and I get to draw 2 cards. People like that. Also of note, Anti-Venom, I didn't go over what he does. If he was cast, you can return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. We're not really going to do that, but if damage will be dealt to Anti-Venom, prevent that damage and put that many +1/+1 counters on him. So he's kind of unkillable from combat damage, or any kind of damage. Destroy effects work, though. So, Black Widow Super Spy is a menace 2/1 for 2. Whenever Black Widow deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You can either put a +1/+1 counter on Black Widow, or you may cast the exiled non-land card until end of turn, and mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell. Another fun politicking card with Widow, and another just fun card in general, can help you find some stuff to use off of your opponent's decks, maybe annoy them a bit. It's kind of fun. Bruce Banner is very solid on the Bruce Banner side. 1 mana is just blue for a 1/1, but you can pay X twice and draw X cards. Very, very good if you're needing card draw in some way, and very cheap to cast and get on board. The flip side is the Incredible Hulk. We all know the Incredible Hulk. We love him. He's an 8/8 reach trample for 6. Whenever Hulk is dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on him. If he's attacking, untap him, and there's an additional combat phase after this one. Whew. This is a very nasty card, and one that you're going to try to use to punish your opponents a bit for having wide boards or anything like that. The solution to the Incredible Hulk is just let him hit you. And that's why he's kind of fair here, and as a commander, he kind of sucks to play against, because the solution to him is let him hit you, and he tramples, so he's going to hit you anyways, and it's just a nasty situation to deal with it when you're talking about commander damage. But I'll cover my Hulk deck later and explain how I got around that to make it fun. Captain America Living Legend, a 3-mana 3/4 with Vigilance. Whenever a creature you control becomes tapped during your turn, if it's the first time they were tapped this turn, untap it. I don't know how this is an uncommon, but it's a very, very good uncommon. There's a couple of them that we're going to talk about. There's a better uncommon in here that we will cover. Just obviously extremely good in a combat deck. We also have a Mana Dork in here in Doc Samson. Lets him at base power produce 6 mana per turn. Very good. Captain America Super Soldier. A first strike 3/2 for 3. Enters with a shield counter. As long as Captain America has a shield counter, you and other heroes you control have hexproof. Just obviously good. Captain America Team Leader is the face commander from the precon. Whenever another hero you control enters, it gains Vigilance and Haste until end of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on that hero and on Captain America. Very good because we're going to be cheating out some heroes. So he makes them hasty, so when we use Nick Fury's ability, we can then attack with that creature, or perhaps tap that Mana Dork right away. Captain America Unbowed is a 4-mana 3/4 with Flash that you can cast in to give your soldiers and heroes indestructible until end of turn. Just a save card. Very good to have around. Captain Marvel Apex Avenger is one of those scary cards that we're talking about that's kind of difficult to cast because she's 7 mana for a 4/4 with flying, double strike, and indestructible. And whenever you put one or more creature or counters on another creature, if it's not a Kree, okay, you may put the same number and kind of counters on Captain Marvel. Pretty cool. Then we have Captain Marvel Earth's Protector. Flash, flying, lifelink, 5/4 for 5. With a power-up that says put a +1/+1 and indestructible counter on her. Obviously, a flying lifelink, potentially indestructible creature. Extremely good. Then we have Captain Marvel Shooting Star. A bit of interesting removal. Another 7-mana creature that's a 6/6 with flying. Whenever Captain Marvel enters or attacks, exile up to 1 target creature. That creature's controller gains life equal to its power. So you can hit your own creature here, or an opponent's. But whenever a creature other than Captain Marvel is exiled, you gain life equal to its power. So if somebody happens to play a mass exile spell because all your heroes are indestructible or hexproof, you're going to gain a lot of life. It's a fun card to have out. Another difficult to cast, Wooburg. Cosmic Spider-Man. A 5/5 for Wooburg. Flying, first strike, trample, lifelink, and haste. And he gives that at the beginning of combat on your turn to all other spiders you control. We don't have a lot of other spiders, but there's a few. Just an extremely good card to have in a hero's deck. One of the better heroes in here for this deck is Daredevil Man Without Fear. A 4-mana 3/4 with Vigilance and Haste with Radar Sense. Look at the top card of your library anytime. Then, whenever you attack, you may exile the top card of your library. If that is a hero card, Daredevil gets +2/+1 until end of turn, and you may play that card this turn. So it doesn't have to be a hero for you to be able to play it this turn. But Daredevil only gets +2/+1 if it's a hero. Notably, this is a great card to have out so that when we're looking to cheat out different creatures, which we'll get to other than Nick Fury's ability, we can kind of get a peek at what might be there and maybe get rid of something that isn't a hero, you know? Deadpool, trading card. 4-mana 5/3. As Deadpool enters, you may exchange his text box and another creature's. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 3 life. You can pay 3 and sacrifice them for everybody else to draw a card. This is here because we can bring this in to replace Nick Fury's text box and use the power-up ability again. So when Deadpool enters, if we've already expended the power-up ability on Nick Fury and we don't have a way to blink him, we can bring in Deadpool and say, well, we have a different Nick Fury now. And we can do the ability again. Notably, he will reduce the cost of that ability by red and black. Pretty cool. Director Nick Fury. Heroes cost 1 less when you attack. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Reveal a hero from among them and put it into your hand, the rest on the bottom. Just a solid digging for a hero card. Doc Samson, very solid 5 mana, 3/6 mana dork. And if you would put one or more counters on a permanent you control, put that many +1. That is so good. Because you add X mana of any one color, where X is Doc Samson's power. So of any color, and you get 3 of them. Such a good thing. And if you can increase Doc Samson's power, you get even more mana. Pretty darn good. Eddie Brock was here only for Venom, Lethal Protector. A 6 mana, 5/5 menace, trample, haste. Whenever Venom attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do draw X cards, then you may put a permanent card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, where X is the sacrifice creature's mana value. Now, I just covered my whole deck for Venom. There's a lot of creatures in this deck that don't have a lot of use beyond their initial ability, their ETB. They're good targets to sacrifice to Venom. We'll cover them. I like to target Silver Surfer because Silver Surfer enters, does his thing, and then he's a flying 5/5, and that's cool. But I can get a lot of value out of drawing 6 cards off of Silver Surfer. But yeah, Eddie's here just to kind of swap some stuff in and out and be a nasty attacker. Pretty fun. Hawkeye Master Marksman is a 2 mana 2/2 with first strike and reach. Whenever he becomes tapped, you may pay 1 up to 3 times. When you do, choose up to that many. Target creature can't block. This turn, Hawkeye deals 2 damage to target player, or discard a card and draw a card. I mostly am here for that bottom one. Draw sources are nice. Always. Hawkeye Trick Shot. Much better Hawkeye for this deck. A 4 mana 3/4 with first strike and reach. Whenever Hawkeye or another hero you control enters, it deals damage equal to the number of heroes you control to any target. That is very good. Obviously, we have lots of heroes, and we're cheating them out, so we're going to have lots of them. Jennifer Walters is good on both sides. Just because she's a 2 mana 2/3, opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Mostly we're here for the She-Hulk, though. She is a 6 mana 6/6 with reach and trample, and your opponents can't cast spells on your turn. And also, whenever a creature you control is dealt damage, you may have the sensational She-Hulk deal that much damage to any target, but only once per turn. Woo! That's really, really, really good. This card is not cheap for a reason. Here is another. Why the hell is this card uncommon? 4 mana 3/3 with flying, Carolina Dean. Runaway. At the beginning of your first main phase, add Wooburg. You can't spend this mana to cast spells from your hand. Well, guess what? If we're blinking Nick Fury, or we have cards exiled with Daredevil, or you get the idea. It's gonna work very well in a lot of cases, but essentially, if we have, say, the Soul Stone out, and we're able to blink Nick Fury with it, not the Soul Stone, I'm sorry, the Mind Stone. She is going to allow us basically to use his ability for free whenever we blink him. Then we have Miles Morales. Good on both sides. A 2 mana 1/2 on the front that says when it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Fairly nice. The reverse side is why I have an Ultimate Spider-Man deck myself. A 6 mana 4/3 with first strike and haste. You can pay 2, put a +1/+1 counter on Ultimate Spider-Man to give him hexproof and make him colorless until end of turn. And whenever you attack, double the number of each kind of counter on each spider and legendary creature you control. Guess what? All the creatures here are legendary. In a lot of power-up abilities, put +1/+1 counters on creature. It's a very good card. Move on to Monica Rambeau. On the front, she's a 3 mana 3/3 with flying and prowess. Decent, but we're really here for the photon side of a 5 mana 4/4 with flying, hexproof, and prowess. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Now, we're not going to cast a lot of non-creature spells, but very valuable. Move on to Peter Parker Spider-Man. We really don't care about the front here. We're just here for the amazing Spider-Man side that says each legendary spell you cast that's one or more colors has web slinging for 3. Good way to cheat out some creatures. That's really all it is. Photon Lady of Light is a 4-mana 3/3. Whenever she attacks, exile up to one other target creature you control and return to the battlefield under its owner's control. She's going to blink Nick Fury. That's what she's here for. Silver Surfer Cosmic Voyager, a 6-mana 5/5 with flash and flying. Whenever it enters, exile any number of other target permanents you control. Return to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. If it's a land, it enters tapped. Great for ETB effects. This will show up in a lot of Simic decks that are doing ETB things. I'm actually going to put it into my Yarok deck. Because, yeesh, blink all those lands out so you have a Scoot Swarm out late in the game. Ugh, so good. In this deck, it's here because it'll blink Nick Fury. And it's a hero. So it can come in, could even potentially come in as a 5/5 flyer off of Nick Fury's ability. And then blink Nick Fury for you right then. Spectacular Spider-Man is a 2-mana 3/2 with flash. You can pay 1 to give him flying until end of turn, or you can pay 1 and sacrifice him to give creatures you control hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Beautiful card. Beautiful card to have around. A save card, of course. Then we have Spider-Man Miles Morales, a 6-mana 5/5 with Vigilance and Trample. That says, whenever Spider-Man enters or attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. They gain Trample until end of turn. Beautiful card. Love to have this in any green deck. But in here, it works particularly well with some of the other counter synergy. Storm Wind Rider, a 4-mana 4/4 with flying. Creatures with flying can't attack you or block creatures you control. Absurd. Love that. Whenever you cast a spell that targets one or more creatures, those creatures gain flying until end of turn. Love it. Love it. I love every part of this. This I want to make into a commander, but I fear nobody will want to play against it. So the mighty, this, you can target your creatures, your opponent's creatures, before combat with some spell, and make it so they can't attack you because you give them flying. It's wonderful. The Mighty Thor Jane Foster. This is a 3-mana 3/3 with flying. You're going to be able to blink Nick Fury again with this. That's what it says. Whenever she attacks, exile up to one target non-token artifact or creature, then return to the battlefield under its control. Whenever an equipment you control enters, draw a card. We're not doing equipment here, but it's here to blink Nick Fury when she attacks. The Sentry Golden Guardian, a 4-mana 5/5 flying Vigilance Indestructible that creates the Void, a 5/5 black horror villain creature token with flying and indestructible, and the Void attacks each combat if able. So, here's what happens with the Void, because this card seems kind of confusing, but you give one of your opponents the Void. The Void must attack every turn. The difference between the two of them is the Sentry has Vigilance. So if the Void swings at you, you just block it. Nothing happens to either of them, but now the Void is tapped. And you can attack who has it without them having the flying indestructible blocker, because they will never be able to block with it. If that makes sense. So it's a very good way to get yourself a very strong creature out on board swinging. Wolverine, Fierce Fighter, a 4-mana 3/5 with haste. Whenever he enters, he fights up to one other target creature. Wolverine, they like to make him a fighter. And if damage will be dealt to Wolverine, instead that damage is dealt, but all other damage already dealt to him is healed. So, what this means is, he's going to fight something when he comes in. Okay? If he doesn't take 5 damage during that, the next time he would take damage, he will first heal back up to 5. So when he goes to combat, he's not a 3/1, he is a 3/5 again, essentially. So long as he's blocked. Wonder Man, Hollywood Hero. Notably, before I move on to Wonder Man, notably that means that if you give him a -1/-1 counter, when he's at 3/1, you can erase him because that's not damage. So that's, a way to get around that. Wonder Man Hollywood Hero is just here because each power-up ability of permanents you control can be activated an additional time, so we can do Nick Fury more than once, and if we're blinking him, we can do him twice per blink. Austere Command, we all know this card. It's been around for a long time. It's a big removal card. That's why it's here. For 6 mana, but it's big removal. Earth's Mightiest Heroes is a 6 mana sorcery with Teamwork 5. If you're not familiar with Teamwork, you can tap any number of creatures with total power 5 or more to pay the Teamwork cost. So you reveal the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. If this was cast using Teamwork, put any number of those creatures from among them onto the battlefield instead, the rest into your graveyard. Woo! You could do a lot with that. Cheating creatures out. Farseek, we're all familiar with. Thankfully, there's a Marvel version, and we get some ramp. Nature's Lore, same thing we're all familiar with. Get you a forest. Righteous Fury, destroy all tapped creatures. You gain 2 life for each creature you control, or each creature destroyed this way. This is a good way to clear a board to get in with your big attackers. One of our 2 game changers is Jessica's Will, which is Storm's Will. We're familiar with this. You're going to choose the person who has the biggest hand, make a bunch of red mana. If you control your commander, you're also going to exile the top 3 cards of your library and be able to play him this turn. Very good. New card, Wakanda Forever. A 6 mana sorcery, reveal the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a permanent card from among them onto the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it. You may put a permanent card from among them into your hand, and then you put the rest into your graveyard. So good. Brainstorm, we're all familiar with. Counterspell, we know. Ephemerate is here as a blink that has rebound for Nick Fury. Frantic Search, just a nice, easy draw 2, discard 2, untap the lands that you use to pay for Frantic Search. Very good. Heroic Intervention, we all know. We know why it's here. New card, Invisible Force Field, is a 2 mana instant. Up to 4 target permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and this has rebound. So good. Teferi's Protection, again, we all know this card. Nice flavor in Marvel here. The Arc Reactor is a 5 mana with Improvise. Tap for 3, colorless. Very good. Chromatic Lantern, we should all know. In any WUBRG deck, this should be there. Lands you control can tap for any color. And this is a mana rock as well. Door of Destinies, very good card for this deck. As it enters, choose Hero. We're not choosing any other type. Whenever I cast a spell of the chosen type, put a charge counter on the artifact. Creatures of you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each charge counter on it. This can be very, very good. This is Arcane Signet. We all know why it's here. This is the Soul Ring. We all know why it's here. Mind Stone. Brand new. 2 mana, indestructible, white mana rock. For 6, you harness the Mind Stone. When you do, at the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 other target non-land permanent you control, then return it. We're blinking Nick Fury with this. That's all we're doing. It's very good. You want it in your Nick Fury deck. Avengers Assemble, a 5 mana enchantment where hero with flash, so you can kind of save with this as well. Heroes you control get +2/+2, and at the beginning of each end step, if you attacked with a hero this turn, or a hero entered the battlefield under your control this turn, you draw a card. Very good for obvious reasons. This is a card you need to pay attention to if you have a Nick Fury deck, because this is a Fantastic Four Commander deck card. For 6 mana, at the beginning of your first main phase, add 4 mana in any combination of colors. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may copy it, and choose new targets for the copy, but only once per turn. We are getting 4 mana in any combination of colors at the beginning of our first main phase from this card. Whew. So if we have Carolina Dean on board, and we have Wonder Man on board, we essentially get for 1 mana to use Nick Fury's ability twice. Crazy good. Defense of the Heart. If you're not familiar, 4 mana enchantment. Beginning of your upkeep, if a single opponent controls 3 or more creatures, you can sacrifice it and put 2 creatures. You search for 2 creatures out of your library to put onto the battlefield. Very, very solid card. Love to see it getting a Marvel print. Kindred Discovery. Pretty standard. Whenever a creature you control the chosen type, hero, enters or attacks, you draw a card. Origin of the Avengers is a 2-mana enchantment saga. First step, scry 2. Second step, put a creature card with mana value 3 or less from your hand on the battlefield. If you don't, draw a card. Step 3, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Just solid, very flavorful. Would have included this card if it was even worse. Rhythm of the Wild from the Wolverine Secret Lair. Beautiful. We all know this card. We all love this card. Your opponents hate it. The Superhero Civil War 5-mana enchantment saga. Step 1, gain control of up to 2 target creatures with total mana value 6 or less for as long as this saga remains on the battlefield. So 3 turns. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain vigilance until end of turn. And then on step 3, target creature you control fights up to one other target creature. So what you can do with this is have a fun bit of removal, even on the 3 steps, is you can take 2 creatures, attack with them the next turn, and then on the 3rd turn, if you still have both of them, make them fight each other, and maybe they'll both die. Or you can have your creatures fight them and kill both of them before you give them back. Then we move on to the 8-mana enchantment with Convoke, Web of Life and Destiny from the Spider-Man set. At the beginning of combat on your turn, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield, the rest on the bottom in a random order. Again, we're cheating creatures out. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're going to do, and this is wonderful for that. And then we have a bunch of lands that, again, I kept it to only lands that are available in Marvel. So you see all of these are stuff that's in Marvel. So yeah, that's how I want this deck to play. Cheat out creatures, get a bunch of fun combat stuff going, and do the best I can to just be big and stompy. And maybe, a few little stacks pieces in there that kind of help out. And yeah, so let me know what you think of this one, and we'll see you in the next one.